Frugality is a game that you play against yourself. It means doing whatever it takes to get 1% more efficient. It means instead of always running to the thermostat to turn up the heat, putting on some layers. Optimization and living with less is everything. Recently, I've given up coffee entirely, replacing it with warm water.
Being frugal doesn't look like this at all. Do you guys want to see what my frugal lifestyle actually looks like? Come on. There is a difference between being frugal and being cheap. This is what cheap looks like. Being frugal is having it be way too hot in here to wear any of this stuff. It's about cutting out the big expenses.
So the average American spends about 33% of their budget on housing and about 17% on their transportation, about 12% on their food, and then you have insurance and healthcare, and then about 5% is entertainment. So instead of cutting out those little things like going out and getting coffee or those little items of your entertainment and your miscellaneous, it's better to focus on the big things. That is why I am a huge proponent of house hacking, and that's what I've done myself. So I chopped off 33% of my budget just by doing house hacking, and that gives you so much freedom to take an extra 5% or 10% and put it over into entertainment and having great experiences and going out and seeing the world and doing fun stuff that you're gonna remember, and cutting out those fixed expenses, and then the other expenses will kind of take care of themselves. So instead of spending 17% of my money on a car, that is because the cost of a new car is astronomically high. So I drive a 2008 Honda Civic instead. This is much more reasonable and a lot cheaper. I paid cash for it, so there are no payments, there's no debt. It's much more economical, and a new car is just completely unnecessary when your whole goal is to get from point A to point B. So if you like my content and you get some value out of it, it would really help me out if you liked and subscribed to my channel. So what is important is how much you keep, not how much you make. If I was doing things differently and I spent my money on housing, I had a nice new apartment somewhere instead of doing house hacking, or I went out and got a brand new car instead, I would not be keeping as much. So I would actually have to make a lot more in order to keep my savings rate the same. And you really need to have a goal as to why you're doing this. Otherwise, you're not gonna have any incentive to try to make these changes. So my goal is to be able to retire hopefully before I am 30 from wage paying work. Not saying that I'll be retired totally, but I'll be able to focus on real estate investing and making creative content or whatever it is I want to do. So you have to have that why. So another way to save money if you're not ready for a house hack yet would be just to get a smaller apartment closer to work. Maybe you get a roommate. Just really dropping those monthly expenses down. So if you're paying like $1,200 a month and you're able to get that exact same apartment, but maybe move it closer to work or get a roommate with you and get it down to $600 a month because you're splitting it, that is what, $7,000 a year that you are saving just like that without really cutting anything else out of your life, not giving up your coffee or anything else. So cutting out those big expenses is definitely very key. So now that we've tackled the big things, we've cut out almost 50% of our budget by dropping our housing and dropping our car and trying to optimize everything that we can to live very efficiently. What are the little things that allow you to get that next level of wealth saving and creating enough money that you're able to retire and invest and just really reach financial freedom a lot sooner? So some of the things might be when you buy food, to lower that food budget a little bit. I actually buy all organic, healthy food, lots of fruits and vegetables and meat and stuff like that. But I don't go out and spend money on going out to dinner all that often, although I will occasionally. But for me, I found that I don't feel as well when I go out and eat unhealthy, greasy, oily food at restaurants. I'd much prefer to make food at home. So when I'm making food at home, or my wife is, we make food in batches so that we're able to have it for a few days for a few different meals. So we don't spend as much time making those meals and as much money making those meals. And then also I'm able to take that to work, so I'm not tempted to go out and grab fast food and something that's really you're gonna regret after you do it. So those are a few of the little things I do to optimize food. So you still eat really healthy, but you try not to waste as much. So here's a quote that I really like. Don't buy things you can't afford with money that you don't have to impress people you don't even like. Now this is something that a lot of people do. You just get into that pattern of buying things and getting more things, and things really don't make you happy. We found that when we got rid of a lot of the stuff here in our apartment, we actually got a lot happier because it was a cleaner environment. We're just happy with our experiences and being with the ones that we love and our friends, instead of always trying to get that little high out of buying something where you might feel better directly afterwards, but then down the road that thing won't really add any value to your life. So it's really about spending extravagantly on things that add value to your life. If that's travel, or if it's going out to dinner with your friends, whatever it happens to be, that is totally fine. Spend a ton on that. But if it doesn't add value, just cut it out completely. Stop spending money on it. So I guess kind of stereotypically, we do not have a TV and we don't have cable. I found that when we had a TV, I was much more prone to play Black Ops or to play Madden or something like that and waste a lot of time. And I believe the average American watches about 5 hours of television a day. So that is just a huge chunk of your life that you're spending not really adding value to your own life or to other people's lives, and not really creating anything. So I found that I'm actually a lot happier once you get rid of the television and you're able to save money on cable and stuff like that. Of course, we do have, my laptop, and we have Netflix and stuff like that, which is a much more affordable option, and also makes it just a little bit harder to get, to just end up binge watching stuff and wasting an entire day and not really progressing yourself. Don't spend money on coffee. That's what everybody tells you. It's that latte, don't go out and do that. So if you're optimizing the big things, if you got a apartment that is closer to work, so you drop down how much you're spending in gas, and maybe you got a roommate, so you just cut your rent in half and you have a more reasonable sized place to where you are, or you're house hacking, you're saving thousands of dollars a month, then that coffee really won't make a difference. So you're much better focusing on the big things. And then, you know what, if going out and getting coffee doesn't really add value to your life, just make it at home, like that's fine. But those things that, if they make you happy and that few dollars a day isn't really gonna make a difference. It's more focusing on the big things. And then if you wanna optimize the other stuff, then it will help, but it's not really gonna make a big difference if you're still leaving that 30% and that 17% still that high, then the 5% doesn't really matter, So the last thing I wanted to talk about here is why you're doing this. So why I would say it would be good to be frugal and to maybe get that apartment that is closer to work, and maybe you're able to drop your housing and drop your car expenses so that you're able to save more, is you want to save up that first $25,000 around. It might take you a year or 2 years if you really focus on this, and then you're able to buy that house hack, which is able to save you 30% of your budget, just boom, gone. And then you're able to start having enough to really start investing, because if you don't have money to invest and you're always right there, then you're never going to be able to have your money work for you. So you really need to be frugal at the beginning to save up that initial money that you're able to invest, and then it makes it a lot easier down the line. So that is the main reason to be frugal, is really to save up enough money while you're still not making all that money, that much money. So if you're only making 30, 40, 50,000 a year, then you have to drop your expenses really low in order to save money, as opposed to if you're making 90,000 a year, you're not gonna have to do this as much, so.
Well, I did not have an ending for this, so I'm just gonna leave you with this. The whole reason of being frugal and saving up this first bit, obviously you're not gonna save your way to millions of dollars and towards retirement, or if you do, it will take a very long time. The whole idea here is to build up the initial chunk of money, so that you're able to start investing that. And if you're able to invest in a house hack, which is what I'm doing, so you buy a 3-unit multifamily or whatever unit it is, and then you rent out the other ones. Now I'm going to be making infinity back on my money, because I'm never going to end up having to put any more money into the house here. So that is the whole goal, is to save up that initial bit so that you're able to start snowballing that and start growing that, as opposed to the saving only works so far, That's all I got. I'm out.